Hey, how's it going, guys, and welcome to a slightly different video than my usual content on the channel today. But in an attempt to be more active on the YouTube, I'm going to be trying to slide in a few bonus videos every now and again alongside my other series. And I thought for today's one, I would start off by answering probably the most asked question down in the YouTube comments and also on my streams. With that being, as you probably guessed from the title, what I believe the best method for obtaining Master Clues on an Iron Man is. So for you guys that don't know, Master Clues can be obtained in two separate ways. First off, you can obtain a Master Clue by opening other tiers of clue caskets, starting from easies up until elites. Or alternatively, you can gather a clue scroll from each tier, excluding beginners, and then go and trade them over to Watson in exchange for a Master Clue. And this is going to be the method that we're going to be focusing on for today's video. And just quickly, before we do get into the methods, something to bear in mind is that despite this video being aimed more so towards Iron Man accounts, the methods used are obviously still going to be pretty useful for main accounts as well when it comes to gathering clues. And actually, also guys, if you're not too bothered about doing Master Clues, or maybe you're not at that stage of your account yet, then the methods that I use are still going to show the quickest ways of obtaining each tier of clue from elites down to easies for an Iron Man. But yeah, with that said, I think it would be a pretty good idea to start out with the elite clues, as they by far take the longest to obtain, and then work down and finish off with the easy clues last. And as you guys might have been able to guess from what I'm wearing, the way that I gather pretty much 90% of my elite clues these days is by killing the clue spider, otherwise known as Arachnus, which if you watched any of my streams or my Clue Scroll Iron Man videos before, you'll already know that I've spent a fair amount of time killing this boss. And whilst this video isn't going to contain a full Arachnus guide as such, not that you really need one anyway, because it is a pretty easy boss to kill, but this is the usual gear and setup that I use, and obviously it is going to depend on the gear that you guys have on your Iron Man account, but essentially you want to bring your best crush weapon, and also a mixture of magic defense and strength bonus. And so yeah, the setup does work pretty well, and with that I can normally average between 10 and 15 kills per trip. And for each one of the clue methods, I'm actually going to show a little timer on screen and see how long it takes me to hit the drop rate for a clue, if that makes sense. And then I can work out in the end how long on average it should take to obtain all the clues that I need for a Master Clue. So we're going to be starting off on 3,743 Arachnus KC, and with the drop rate of an elite clue from Arachnus being a 1 in 60, I'll then pause the timer when we hit 3,803 KC. And again, obviously depending on your guys' gear and stats, it might take you guys slightly more or less time than it does for me, so keep that in mind. And the really great thing about Arachnus as well, apart from the fact that it drops some pretty nice supplies for an Iron Man, is that it also drops a hard clue at a rate of 1 in 40, meaning that if your goal is to farm Master Clues, then Arachnus is a really efficient boss to kill, as you're more than likely going to pick up a hard clue on the way to getting the elite clue. And actually, I think I remember a streak of around 20 Master Clues where I didn't have to go and use my backup hard clue method, which I will be showing once we're done with this Arachnus KC, as every single time I got an elite, I already had a hard clue stored in Watson or one waiting in the bank. And so what I'd recommend if your goal is to solely grind out Master Clues, is every time you grab a hard clue, go and trade it into Watson, so that way you can get another hard clue to keep in the bank whilst you're grinding out your elite. And obviously, if you prefer, you could go and solve every single extra hard clue that you get, if you're still in need of some of the Clue Scroll items, like the Black Dragon Mask or the Zambi Full Helm. But for me personally, I'd always prefer to have a hard clue ready in the bank so I can do as many masters as possible. And the only other thing that I'll quickly mention is that I don't actually have any of the combat achievements done yet on my account, which if you guys didn't know, actually increases the drop rate of clues for that tier by 5%. So say I had the elite combat achievements done, the drop rate of an elite clue from Arachnus would go from a 1 in 60 to a 1 in 57. And if you do plan on grinding out a lot of clues, then the combat achievements are definitely something to look into for the increased clue drop rates. And there we go, guys, an hour and 25 minutes later, and there is our 60 Arachnus KC all finished up with. And in that time, we actually got ourselves 2 elite and 3 hard clues, which is pretty damn lucky. And I think to end off the video, we'll turn those clues into Master Clues at Watson and then crack them open to finish up with. But yeah, 40 to 45 kills per hour with my setup really isn't too shabby at all, and with a couple of upgrades, mainly a pair of Dragon Claws, that would speed it up even more. But anyway, just in case you guys didn't get a hard clue from Arachnus on the way to the elite clue, then let me quickly show you my backup method, which again, like I mentioned before, is for sure the quickest way to get a hard clue on an Iron Man in the game. Even though there are quite a few good hard clue methods, the quickest way for sure on an Iron Man is to cannon Hellhounds in the Wildy Slayer dungeon with the Ring of Wealth Eye. And for you guys that don't know, the Ring of Wealth Eye actually halves the drop rate of clue scrolls in the wilderness. So hard clue from Hellhounds goes from a 1 in 64 all the way down to a 1 in 32. And obviously guys, it goes without saying, but bear in mind this only works inside of the wilderness, so if you do this method, make sure you're not risking anything that you're not willing to lose. But with that said, I have farmed well over 100 clue scrolls using this method, and I legit have not seen a single PK in the process. But obviously you never know who you might bump into in the wildy, so just make sure you're not risking too much. And usually I'll bring around 400 cannibals with me, which 9 out of 10 times is enough for me to get a hard clue, and sometimes if I do get extremely unlucky, I will have to head back to the bank and come back with more cannibals. But I'd rather not risk any more than 400, because they are quite a big pain in the ass to get on an Iron Man. You can still do this method without a cannon, but obviously it is going to take quite a bit longer, and if you're ever in need of something AFK to do on your account, I would always recommend smithing cannonballs if you are planning on grinding out a lot of master clues, as they do really speed up the process of getting the hard clue. Hey, and just like that, 32 KC later, and that only took us right around 7 minutes with the cannon. So as you can see, this is a pretty good backup hard clue method if you do get unlucky and don't get one from Sir Agnes. So now to the fastest way to get a medium clue, and similar to how our main would do it, the quickest way for sure is through eclectic implings, and obviously is a little bit of a longer process on an Iron Man due to having to make the jars and then catch the implings yourself. And so what I like to do for convenience is have a load of eclectic implings stored up ready in the bank for when I've got myself both the elite and the hard clues. That way I can quickly go to the bank and get a medium clue within about a minute or so, since it really doesn't take too long to open 25 jars, which is the medium clue drop rate from these things. And something that I definitely recommend as well, providing you've got both Lunas and 71 magic, which if you're doing master clues you probably will have unlocked, is to go for one big session of making between 500 and 1000 impling jars using the Hunter Make spell, which means you'll be stocked up on jars for months, since I believe they have a 1 in 9 chance to break when you open them. So if you make 1000 jars, which will only take about an hour or so if you're quick with it, that's around 360 medium clues before they all break. And obviously you don't have to do it this way, but the way I like to do it is by casting the spell and then dropping all the other items except for the impling jars just to practice my clicks, and when you do get in the rhythm it really isn't too bad at all. And so once you got yourself enough jars, it's just as simple as making your way over to Puro and catching a full imp of implings and then repeating the process. And because I'm a massive noob, I haven't yet done the Elite Lumbridge Diary, so unfortunately I still do need to bring my stick with me to get to Xanaris. And also, if you do have a lower hunter level, it's definitely a good idea to bring the magic butterfly net along as well, but luckily I am at the level now where I can't actually fail catching eclectics bare-handed anymore, so yeah, just bring an extra jar along instead per run. And if you want to, you can also bring along bind runes to make it a little bit less stressful, but again, with a higher hunter level, I really don't think you need them when you catch them as they spawn, so yeah, I'd rather fill a few more jars per run than bring the extra runes. And there we go, 25 eclectics caught, which only took just over 3 minutes, and that includes running over to the spot in Puro as well. And I literally just realized that I probably should have kept the timer running, but it really doesn't take all that long to open up 25 eclectic impling jars. So I'd say in total, factoring in making the jars, then catching the implings, and then also opening them, that it takes roughly around 5 minutes on average to obtain a medium clue. And then finally for the easy clue, again without a doubt, the quickest way on an Iron Man to get one is through thieving ham members, as they have a 1 in 50 chance of giving you a clue when they're pickpocketed. And so we're going to be starting the timer on 8,084 ham members thieved, and then ending it when we hit 8,134, which shouldn't take too long at all. And as you can see by my RuneLite history, I have grabbed myself quite a few easy clues already using this method. And so the only real tips that I can give for this method is to use this room just northeast of the ham hideout, as it does have a lot of ham members in a very small space, so you don't have to worry about flying around all the chairs and stuff in the main room. Also, and I know this sounds very dodgy, but always thieve from the female ham members, as because they have a lower thieving level requirement, it means they have less of a chance of catching you. And again, this sounds extremely bad, but if you can trap them in between the beds, it means you can just spam click on one spot without having to worry about them moving. So there we go guys, 50 thieves later, and no easy clue this time unfortunately, but that barely took 2 minutes, even with having to run over to the hideout, and luckily I did only get caught once during those 50 pickpockets. So yeah, obviously it might take a little longer if you get unlucky with getting caught, or if you have a lower thieving level. So yeah, I reckon around 3 minutes on average per easy clue is probably a safe estimate for most people. And with all the times added together, that comes out to be 1 hour and 40 minutes on average per master clue, which if you think about it, really isn't too bad at all. And that's also assuming that you don't get a hard clue from Sir Agnes on the way to the elite, which again, most of the time you will end up getting one. So with that in mind, you could possibly shave off another 10 or so minutes that it takes to gear up and get that hard clue from the Wildy. And just one final time before I see the comments on it, these times are never going to be spot on, again depending on gear and stats and whatnot, and you could just get an elite clue on one Sir Agnes KC, or it could take you 300 kills in total. But yeah, over the course of grinding out a lot of master clues, the average will even out eventually. And so to end off the video, I thought it'd only be fair to go and complete and then crack open the 2 master clues that we obtained in the making of this little guide, so we'll be back with you guys when I've sold both of them. And just like that, 2 pretty quick master clues there, but I swear to god, if I get the blood out whilst making this little guide, I'm not really sure how I'm gonna feel, but here we go. First one is gonna be not too bad there, pretty decent amount of, GP on that one. Lumberyards, Timeboy 1-hour teleports, and lastly is gonna be some more samurai gloves. I mean, I'm not sure what pair that is. I'm pretty sure I've already got a few pairs of those in the bank already. Let's have a little look. That is going to be only pair number 2, to be fair. Not too bad. It is a unique, but not quite a unique, unfortunately. And like I mentioned in the intro, I'm going to be trying to be as active as possible on the YouTube channel over the next few months. And the plan is to try and get a new video out every single week. So we're going to have to see how long that lasts. But either way, until next time, guys, as always, stay safe and I'll see you very soon.